Use mouse. I don't get it.
Or fucking write a note.
Yeah, that would work too. That would work also. Fuck
but
mouse.
The curse dictates that she could only write in hawk.
Yeah. In the morning, it turns into hawk sounds.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Shat the Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, then this is the podcast for you. I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside me are my co-hosts, Ash, you cut your hair d'Anjou.
Hi, y'all.
And Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
Each week, we take a look back at time and decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you'd like to see all the movies we have covered, will cover, and want to choose one for yourself, please visit shatpod.com and have a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, with the number of wipes each movie take to get off your respective butts. So thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. That's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen. Find all the information and past episodes at shatpod.com/TV. And finally, to hang out with us live, follow and subscribe to our Twitch channel, shatpod.com/Twitch, where you play video games, host watch parties, and edit this podcast live. All that being said, Big D, what movie are we reviewing today?
So, Gene, tonight, I'm excited to go back to a genre that I feel is underserved by Shat the Movies, the medieval fantasy. So I was excited when one of our listeners, Jose, wanted us to go back to 1985 and review the Richard Donner, Matthew Broderick classic, Ladyhawke.
Well, and Jose wrote in and said, "Hi guys, my name is Jose Vergara, and I am a longtime listener. I have posted a number of comments on your YouTube channel, and after 2 years of listening to you, I decided to give myself a little birthday splurgeon gift. The movie I would like for you guys to review is not really in my top 10, and I have to say it is nothing I really think about. Maybe because it's a medieval fantasy. However, if the movie is somehow on TV, which it has not been for years, I'll definitely stop whatever I'm doing to watch it. Ladyhawke, a 1985 movie, which now that I see stars a number of A-list stars such as Michelle Pfeiffer, definitely my first crush, Matthew Broderick, whom I did not recognize until last week, Alfred Molina, John Wood, and the very underrated Rutger Hauer. While I can't say this is a movie that affected my life or has a special meaning, as in the case of some of your viewers, as a movie lover, I have to say this movie contains the 3 out of the 4 elements of a great movie. A, characters you care about. B, great acting. C, great cinematography, i.e. the visual aspect of the film like the scenery and angle shots. And the 4th element would be D, a compelling story you actually care to watch until the very end. Had the actors been bad ones or been presented in such a way that you did not care what had happened to them, the plot in Ladyhawke would have been a very forgettable one. I say this is what good acting and directing does to a film. In short, as a movie fan, I'd be interested in how you review the movie. I would never have given this movie a perfect wipe, but damn if it may not perhaps deserve a half of a wipe. And guys, Jose wrote this in like a year ago because we are so fortunate to have commissions kind of built out so much in advance. And Jose did give us a little bit of an update on this email, and he wanted to say that after he reviewed our last email, he rewatched the film, and looking at our film ranking list, this is what he had to say. I would perhaps need to change my score from a half a wipe to a 1.25. There's simply no way Ladyhawke is better than The Matrix or Shawshank Redemption, but I would still consider it better than Lethal Weapon or The Mummy. The acting is good, the story is still compelling, and the cinematography is still beautiful. While the movie has no real special meaning to me, I still think it's pretty decent. The funny thing is that the first time I saw this movie, it was on Brazilian TV. Interesting to see how the dubbing makes the actor sound totally different as the original version. By the way, has anyone commissioned Bowfinger? Sincerely, Jose.
Well, Ladyhawke is a 1985 medieval fantasy directed by Richard Donner and starring Matthew Broderick, Rutger Hauer, and Michelle Pfeiffer. The story is about a young thief who becomes unwillingly involved with a warrior and his lady who are hunted by the Bishop of Aquila. As he learns the couple's past and their secret, he chooses to help them overcome the bishop's forces, men-at-arms, a wolf hunter, and an infernal curse. The film is noted for having one of the worst sound scores for any film. So this movie, I'm so glad Jose commissioned because it has a very special place in my heart. I have a very close friend, Chad. He is my sparring partner. We train together 3-4 times a week. Just a really great guy who's taught me all about being a landlord and how to invest money, which I'm still not very good at. And when Chad found out we do an 80s movie podcast, he's like, when are you doing Ladyhawke? And I thought he made this movie up. And then he explained the plot to me, and then I knew he had made this movie up. And then I looked it up after Jose commissioned it, and I realized, oh shit, this is a movie we're going to be doing. And since then, I'd been counting down the months to this recording. I'm so excited.
Well, I'm glad you're excited. I'm equally excited. When I first saw this, I was 12. It had to be in the theater. And I could not believe how much I remembered it. As the movie was going, I could predict the scenes, the dialogue surprisingly well. And I'm sure I can't be alone. I couldn't be the only kid who was lusting for Michelle Pfeiffer. She is a goddess in this film. And it was a medieval fantasy. It was everything, swords fighting, swashbuckling. It was everything that a boy of 12 would just want to see on a summer day.
So Big D, as a 12-year-old, did her ability to change into a hawk increase or decrease the sexual attractiveness of Michelle Pfeiffer?
Well, it was just the idea of having someone love me like that. Because at that point, the idea that, I could be a wolf at night, something that could kill you, and she would still choose to love me, that alone was enticing.
I feel like those are actually like Survivor lyrics from 1984. I'm a wolf at night, but you still choose to love me.
Yeah. She accepts me. Yeah, well, I mean, we all learned about your Last of the Mohicans podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we all learned that you were Duncan, so I can see it a little bit. But for this movie, I saw this once when I was a kid. My brother-in-law had it on Laserdisc, and I remember we watched it. And I remember being really confused by why Ferris Bueller was in it. But that was really all I remembered. And I don't really remember the plot. I didn't remember, the score. And then the movie started. And normally with movies like this, if I saw it in my childhood when it begins, I'd be like, oh, hey, yeah, no, I remember parts of this, or at least remember like the sketch of the plot. But with this one, it was like I had never seen it before. So I can't really say I've seen it because I don't remember it until this watch. And I'll just say it was interesting.
Yeah, to give everybody a taste of what they're in for with this movie, if you haven't seen it before, I think the trailer actually does a great job, just in an audio sense, of describing this movie and getting you a feel for what it sounds like. So let's go to the trailer.
He was a pickpocket who thought that anything was better than prison. Little did he know what he'd escaped from wasn't half as strange or frightening as what he'd stumbled into.
I do not believe what I believe, Lord. These are magical, unexplainable matters, and I beg you not to make me a part of them.
The knight who had saved him wanted only two things: to free his lover and to take his revenge.
I have waited almost 2 years for a sign from God.
Sir, the truth is I talk to God all the time. And no offense, but he never mentioned you.
The pickpocket was the key to his plan. But would you send a thief to guard your treasure? He was the last one in the world to act like a hero. It just happened by itself. And he was drawn into a magical, romantic adventure. Matthew Broderick, Michelle Pfeiffer, Rutger Hauer, Ladyhawke.
In medieval Italy, Phillipe Gaston, a thief known as the Mouse, escapes from the evil Bishop of Aquila's dungeons. The bishop's guards, led by Captain Marquette, track him down, but the former captain, Etienne Navarre, shows up and defeats them. Etienne rides off with Phillipe while his hawk scatters the guards along the way. While the men sleep in a barn, a farmer attacks and attempts to kill Phillipe, but an enormous black wolf kills the farmer first. Phillipe looks for Navarre, but only finds a young woman in Navarre's cloak who walks away with the wolf. So as we said in the introduction of this podcast, this movie is famous for having a phenomenally bad score. But as you guys know, I never noticed a score anyway. Like, I'm like, oh, what? They were playing like an Argentine tango? I had no idea. I definitely did this time. And I don't know who the fuck thought it was a good idea to let Alan Parsons, yes, that Alan Parsons, do like this weird Casio keyboard jam in a medieval fairy tale movie. And like, they're clearly proud of it. They're not trying to hide the fact. They didn't listen to the score later and go, oh shit, let's just kind of keep it, toned down to like a 2 and, just keep it in the background, hide it among some animal sounds. No, they blast that shit over this like backlit hawk in slow motion. Like they want to let you know Alan Parsons did this.
Fuck yeah.
Y'all, this was not what I was expecting. So we have a playroom, and that's where I decided to watch this. And so I put the movie on, and I knew it was going to be the credits. So I came around to grab something out of the guest room, and all of a sudden I hear blaring. And I was like, oh shit, I must have rented the wrong movie. And they hear like this hawk noise. Like, totally timed. And I turned around and I looked and I went, oh shit, like this is it. I was expecting drama. I was expecting castles, but instead we get like this exit music on like an 80s Disney 3D adventure ride, complete, like you said, Gene, with that slow motion hawk, the sunset. And here's the deal. You guys think I'm making fun, perhaps, but I thought this is kind of a banger at the start. Like, I enjoyed every second of the opening because for me, I was getting pumped because I was like, oh shit, this is like a Princess Bride kind of thing. Like, this is going to be kind of like a funny movie. And then it wasn't, but part of it is like, okay, the movie might suck, but this is going to be a really fantastic fucking Shat episode.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this opening, it makes the opening to Robin Hood Men in Tights seem like buttoned up and like historically accurate. It's that wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's glorious. And I want to start out by thanking the Orange County Public Library System. Again, this was a rental copy DVD. It was everything I could have hoped for. And Gene, I'm going to do something here. I know you hate it. I know you hate when I go all morning, like drive time, Zoo Radio, Zoinkers here. But with this soundtrack, it deserves to be heard. It deserves to be highlighted. So I've put together something real quick here. Gene's going to hate it, but I think the listeners will like it. I'm going to play a couple short snippets of music, and you have to tell me, is this Ladyhawke or what it is? You ready? Here's our first one. And listeners, play along.
Ladyhawke.
No.
Ashley?
It's too disco. It's not prog rock, it's disco.
Okay, that was the theme to TJ Hooker.
It's disco.
Okay.
Next.
Definitely Ladyhawke.
No, I'm going to say no again.
I'm going to say like that scene where he's drowning in the pool.
This is actually Ladyhawke. This is the fight at the tavern with Phillipe. Okay, next. You guys ready for this one?
Was it a tavern or more of a brunch spot?
Well, the theme song is actually called Tavern Fight. Here's our next clue.
It's Top Gun.
Nope.
Oh, that's Airwolf.
No, that was a good guess. That was Blue Thunder. Okay,
same shit.
We got 3 more, and we're good.
Oh my god!
Next.
Did Airwolf have missiles, or was it just a police helicopter?
Is this from Footloose?
No.
Okay, Ashley, what do you think?
I think it makes me feel like I want to move. Ladyhawke.
Jane?
Yeah, Ladyhawke.
That is correct. This is the Tavern Fight, but it's Navarre's theme. Okay, next.
Okay.
Not Ladyhawke.
What is it, Jane?
I gotta hear it. I gotta feel it a little bit.
That's Airwolf.
That
is correct.
Ladyhawke.
That is Airwolf. And we got 2 special bonuses here for you two, and we'll see how you do.
Is that from Super Mario Brothers?
No. If you're in your car, shout it out.
I don't know.
Is that Castlevania?
Hey, that was Castlevania. Yes, Castlevania.
Hey!
Good job, Gene. And the final one.
I love this game.
Thank you. This is the last one out there.
Legend of Zelda.
Oh, Gene Lyons gets the geek card. You get the bonus points.
I was
going to
say that. He said it too quick.
Oh, that was it. So that's the end of our goofy drive time music. But yes, Gene, the music is horrible. It is Casio at its worst.
But this is the thing, like Alan Parsons, like legitimate prog rock genius. I don't know that the music is bad. It's just not right for the movie, right?
It's not. And I promise, guys out there, we're not going to spend like the entire episode talking about the music. But I think there's one specific example of this that kind of sums it all up. So there's the scene, Matthew Broderick's character, he jumps in this water and like he legit may drown because he's really close to running out of air. He has no idea where to go. He's making those like noises that I guess people make before they drown, like underwater. And it should be tense, but it's not. And do you want to know why it's not? It's not Matthew Broderick's fault. It's not the way that they shot the scene's fault. It's that there's this jaunty little keyboard tune over it that sounds like it's set some like sexy like 80s gigolo like dun, 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 like walking down the street. And when Broderick does surface, like the music just stops. So they play the weird gigolo music as he's like walking, through the, well, he's not walking, he's swimming. As he's swimming through the shed, and then he surfaces and it goes silent. Like it makes no sense.
It definitely feels like something was happening in studio separate from the movie, and they just handed them like 10 tracks and they're like, all right, just put them somewhere. And they're like, all right, this would be a perfect song for the underwater level, but the underwater level only lasts 27 seconds.
But it makes kind of sense if you think, because Mouse is a fucking idiot. As a character, he has escaped. He pulled the Shawshank Redemption. He swam through the sewer. He got out. What is the first thing you do not do? Oh, everybody, let's toast to me. I just escaped from the dungeons of Aquila. The guards are here. It's ridiculous. His character is dumb. His open exposition is ridiculous. Maybe I'm dreaming, but my eyes are open, which means maybe I'm awake. Dreaming is asleep. Or maybe I'm asleep dreaming. I'm awake. I wonder if I'm dreaming, but still, this is what he's really saying. So maybe they're showing us that he's just a complete idiot.
Or maybe they're showing us that the writing on this movie fucking sucks. Because in all the things that you mentioned, you missed the amazing monologue about food that he gives while he's on the road. And so he's walking down the way and he's like, maybe I'd like to have some soup and potatoes. Maybe I'd like some hot lamb like Mother used to make. And I think it was like they asked Matthew Broderick to like ad-lib here, and he didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to do. He ran out of ideas, and so we get this gem of a 2 minutes of him just talking about random food items.
Yeah, I get the odd feeling that people in medieval times just didn't talk that much, because whenever I'm in a situation, whether it's like a theatrical presentation or at the Renaissance Festival or stuff, and people do try to do medieval talk, it's generally like the same three things, right? They're like, it's ale, hot lamb, I better find an inn or a horse. Like, there's not a fucking lot to talk about. And I imagine that there was probably a nice, which I kind of appreciate, a time when people just shut the fuck up. They pitchforked their hay and shit, and they went to bed at like 5.
But do we think, because he's been selected because he's the only person to escape from jail. That's why Navarre needs him to get back in. Wouldn't it be smart to tell Mouse the plan? Hey, listen, dude, it's going to sound weird. I turn into a wolf at night. She's a hawk. So he doesn't end up like trying to kill either one by accident.
Yeah, it would definitely also like help prevent a dude from banging your girlfriend while you're a wolf, or wife while you're a wolf. That would be my big concern, is like, she hasn't seen me in 2 years now as a human. She's very, very lonely. Yeah. There's this boy, this hairless Daniel Day-Lewis like man, and fuck it. Like let's face it, like, Mouse is perfect rebound bait, right? He's yes. Like, you don't got to get attached to him. He's not gonna like haunt you in your dreams. And if your dude ever does come back, you'll just kill him. So he's like, perfect. That would be my biggest story. I'd be like, listen, this hawk is my wife. Okay?
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right.
If you see Michelle Pfeiffer around, don't touch.
Agreed.
Yeah, totally agree.
Well, in the morning, Navarre returns and asks Phillipe to help him get inside Aquila. Phillipe refuses, and Navarre ties him up to a tree. That night, Phillipe tricks the mysterious woman into untying him. He is soon captured by the bishop's guards again, who set up an ambush for Navarre the next day. In the ambush, Navarre and his hawk are each hit by a crossbow bolt, but Navarre manages to defeat the bishop's guards and save Phillipe.
So sometimes in life, you don't realize how good you have it. You might think, oh, my life is really hard. But in the end, a couple years later, you realize it's not. This movie made me appreciate Game of Thrones even more. Yes, we gushed over it, but this movie shows you that the production value of Game of Thrones, the costumes, the weaponry, the attention to detail, the set, Ladyhawke is none of that. And granted, it was early 80s, but still, man, we had it good with Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I was really distracted by the costuming in this in a way that I don't think I've been in other Shat pods. I saw much better get-ups at this year's Renaissance Fair, that people really go all out when they cosplay now in a way that looks so much better than what we get here, because the soldiers' metal plates, strangely too shiny. The cloaks they wear are like really plain. It's like they got like some muslin and just like dyed it and handed it to them. And you know what it feels like? I know, Gene, you talk sometimes about things that feel like community theater. Like this feels like the costuming from a community theater production. And the worst are those white robes that the bishop wears with that weird like triple gold bib thing. And then you've got the acolytes who are just in like white muslin sacks that maybe are sheets from home.
All right, I'm with you guys on the weapons part. These weapons look like shit. Like Navarre's got a kind of a cool like double crossbow thing, and his family sword's pretty dope. But like his normal sword that he uses, it looks like somebody just folded over like aluminum foil and like shaped it. It's like oddly too flat and light. But like clothing wise, let's be real. I think Game of Thrones kind of does a bit much, because clothes probably did suck in medieval times. Like let's examine who was making the clothes. They were probably stupid. It's not like they, had patterns to go by. Almost everything was made by hand. There was no YouTube or like Fashion Institute of Aquila. Like this is probably the best they could do. I mean, look around. Nobody in this kingdom seems exceptional at anything.
I call bullshit on you, because the women of this time, all they had to do was make things and like embroider and like help sew shit. They could have sewed some better shit than what this looks like.
I've got an aunt, and all she does is stay home and make food, and her food sucks.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. A bigger problem I have is that the clothes doesn't look worn in. It doesn't look like it's distressed. A lot of the soldiers have brand new uniforms, like they're working at like a theme park. But there's a bigger problem here. And it's a problem I have with like things like the Hulk, right? Every time Bruce Banner turns into the Hulk, his pants are getting ripped off. He is going to be a naked Hulk. There's no suplex or lycra that's going to cover up your junk when you transform. Here, we get it twofold. Every night that Navarro turns into a wolf, theoretically, he becomes a wolf, his clothes fall off of him, and he runs around as a wolf who has no knowledge. In the morning, when he wakes up, he's naked, his clothes and sword and everything are long gone. The hawk, spoiler alert, later on, she kind of jumps off the castle. She turns into a hawk, but wouldn't she be draped in that large blanket and tumble to the ground?
Okay, so as a person who likes to put human clothes on dogs all the time, they're exceptionally good at getting out of those clothes, and they don't tear my clothes apart. The wolf is smaller than Navarre is. It's not a particularly big wolf. I think it just kind of like, just shimmies out of that stuff.
No, but I'm saying he's going to need like 45 of the same outfits, because every morning he's going to wake up naked and not know where his outfit is.
Well, I think she gathers his stuff up for him and then just like leaves it out,
okay,
in a pile, and like puts some sausages on top of it so he could find it very easily.
I'll accept that. That would make sense.
But Big D, did you miss the part where this is a fairy tale and not a sci-fi movie? Like when you watch Cinderella, you're like, oh, that carriage is made out of pumpkin. Well, she's going to get a real pumpkin stain on her dress when she gets inside of it. I mean, the fact of the matter is that they don't show us the transitions, because it was just maybe the clothing becomes a part of the animal. Maybe that's where her feathers come from. It's her gown.
Oh.
Yeah,
it explains the haircut.
Yeah, maybe.
Definitely explains the haircut. But, I think that there's some other weird choices. So we talked about the costuming, but there's also like some choices by the actors that are a bit strange, because we've got like Etienne here who shows some drama through like whispers only. And he's got this whole line where he goes, perhaps she's a mystery. And we're supposed to feel like all kinds of drama from it, but we don't. And here's the deal. Rutger Hauer, I love. I think Rutger Hauer is a great actor. But in this movie, his acting, he equates to lowering his voice and speaking in a hush to make it mysterious. But it doesn't. And it's a bummer. And it's a huge letdown. It's the same problem I have with other actors who do these voice modulation changes to act. Like, oh, I don't know, Christian Bale as Batman. Like, when he's Bruce Wayne, he sounds normal. And when he's Batman, he's got this gravelly voice that sounds pissed. Like, it's the same issue here where it's a choice, but I don't know if it's a choice that works.
This is going to be one of those rare moments where I speak highly of Blade Runner, but you're right. Rutger Hauer in Blade Runner, absolutely intense, absolutely fantastic, but he's got something to work with because his character as a replicant, like it's fleshed out, right? He knows what he's supposed to be doing. Here, they're like, you're a wolf guy who used to be the captain of the guard and go. Oh, by the way, you're in love with this hawk. Go. Conversely, Ash, I thought when Isabeau first shows up, like when Michelle Pfeiffer first shows up, she's all quiet and like mysterious. She's got that black cloak. And Mouse is like, holy shit, like what's this lady all about? And I thought because she was a hawk, that like she wouldn't speak like a normal person. Like maybe she would only like speak in little whispers or not at all, which would be fascinating in itself. I thought she was going to be the whole movie, this quiet, creepy thing. But it was just for the first scene she was in. Her best scene, I might add. The next time she appears, she's like normal 80s gal. She's like a little fumbly bumbly and, oh, I don't know if I should untie you. And all of a sudden it ruins the character.
But fuck, it's been 2 years. We can assume this is the first person they've told their secret to eventually. Wouldn't you use him as a conduit? Hey, tomorrow, tell Navarre this. Hey, it's been 2 years. I really love you. What are our plans? How can we break the curse? What can we do? Next morning, we're going to communicate back and forth. It's been 2 years with no correspondence. Use Mouse. I don't get it.
Or fucking write a note.
Yeah, that would work too. Yeah, that would work also. Fuck
but
Mouse.
The curse dictates that she can only write in hawk.
Yeah. In the morning, it turns into hawk sounds. And to get back to how she's shot, is this the most unlucky thing you've ever seen? Mouse throws a rock, hits the guard. The guard then kind of just, the crossbow goes up in the air, and he hits her. It is a mortal wound. That's a large bolt that goes through this tiny bird. The bird, comes down the ground. It's crashing, and he yells. This is the woman he loves. He hasn't seen her. Instead of yelling, Isabeau, he goes, hawk. Go get the hawk. Come on, dude. You're terrified of losing your love. Mouse picks up Hawk and he says, oh, don't worry. You're going to be fine. Mouse, what are you, a fucking vet? You don't know she's going to be fine. There's a bolt in a bird. She's going to die.
I'm kind of ashamed and kind of proud to admit this, but I was recently doing a Dungeons and Dragons campaign where we were walking across this like path and there were sharp rocks to either side. And then we were being attacked from above by hawks. And we were wondering if we could hit them with a crossbow. And so we asked the DM, like, you know, or the Dungeon Master, like, hey, can we shoot at this thing? How hard is it to like hit a hawk? And first of all, in real life, very, very tough to hit a bird with a flying bird, not one's like perched or nesting, but in the air with a crossbow. It's like next to impossible. It's why you use things, you know, like shotguns, right? It's much, much more effective, right? But surprisingly easy in a fantasy setting. I think we only needed we only needed to roll I think it was a 12 or better on the attack roll to hit one. So if they're going by D&D rules, like this isn't that abnormal. Ash, where would you rate it? What do you think the armor class is on a hawk?
I don't know. I think it depends on the dungeon master, right? I mean, what did you say it was?
They said our DM said it like a 12.
Oh God, really?
Flying hawk. Yeah, I thought that was
because it's flying,
easy.
right?
Yeah,
so that
flying,
makes it
right.
Yeah. So that makes it tough, and it's tiny.
A hawk is the fastest fucking animal on the planet.
I think 12 might be a little high, but yeah, definitely a double digit.
So, G, what does your dungeon master book tell you about surviving that bolt when you hit him of the
a fucking
12?
lot, because you've clearly never been on a campaign with one of us,
and I never will.
Yeah, no, I mean, typically, if you've got like a level 1, level 2 person using a crossbow, even if they've got a perk to their hit on ranged, the damage it's going to cause will be probably somewhere like in a 1d4 plus whatever their modifier is. So you're looking at I mean, a decent hawk, especially a Ladyhawke, should be able to survive that. But it would. I mean, I'm sure it would be bloodied for sure.
Okay.
Well, Phillipe takes the injured hawk to the ruined castle of a monk named Imperius for help. The hawk is sequestered in a room, but a curious Phillipe picks the lock and finds a woman inside, her chest also struck with a bolt. Imperius explains that she is Isabeau of Anjou, who once refused the bishop's unwelcome advances. The bishop placed Isabeau and Navarre under a satanic curse. Isabeau becomes a hawk by day and Navarre a wolf by night. As soldiers raid Imperius's castle, Isabeau slips from the tower, but is saved when the morning sun transforms her into a hawk.
Now, in a lot of movies like this, we get the magic, we get the curse, and it's pretty clear. Because, guys, this is like the precursor to Shrek, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is clearly like where they got the idea for the movie Shrek from. And the curse is clear there. The magic is clear there. But here we get like pieces, but was it just me or was it pretty muddy? Like what the rules were regarding the magic, regarding the curse, like who's good, how they're good, how many people are animals. And I don't know. I've never felt like you, Big D, before in this way, but I'm like, I need some All Valley tournament rules about the magic in this.
Well, I feel like Imperius did a pretty good job of explaining it, but you had to be like tuned into the movie this far in, which is a feat in and of itself. But basically what Imperius says is, hey, look, the bishop was really pissed. He liked Isabeau. Everybody in the land falls in love with Isabeau. The bishop wanted her. She didn't want him. He found out that she was already in love with the captain of his guard. And so the bishop implores like the powers of hell to spit up a curse. And so this is what the devil came up with. And he's like, devil's like, haha, all right, I got it. They're going to be together, but always apart because she's always a hawk in the daytime while he's a man and she's a woman by night, but then he's a wolf. And so they can't be together. But the key part of it, the part that I love is that, this movie is admittedly dumb, but it could have been worse because I thought Navarre and Isabeau hung out. One of them was just an animal at all times, but they were still like hanging out. Like they remembered everything together. They still spent time together. No. This curse is actually kind of smart because they don't retain any memories of their animal counterparts. So like when he wakes up in the morning, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing as a wolf. And meanwhile, when she wakes up at night, she doesn't know what she did all day as a hawk. That's great.
See, but I think we're missing some part of this because the bishop made a deal. What did the bishop give up? There's some parts that we see him like tormented, like he's having some kind of, bonding with the dark forces. And then also there's an aspect to where Isabeau has a magical power over everyone. Even Matthew Broderick, Mouse, is like, oh, he's strangely attracted to her beyond the fact that she's super hot.
No, it's the fact that she's super hot or one of 5 women in the kingdom.
With all her teeth. Yeah, that could do it.
I don't know. I just think it kind of muddied the story. I mean, I know that this whole thing is supposed to help with this like star-crossed love vibe, but it just didn't make me feel anything. And I think part of the problem is that the animals are a complexity here for the plot. So this movie rarely is allowed a moment of silence that isn't filled with like glorious Casio keyboard. And when it is silent, though, we've got the animals. And so like you've got them riding with the bird. But unfortunately, we don't get to just enjoy it. Mouse instead fills the dead air with like talking to the bird. And when he's alone with the wolf stalking him, he narrates all of his inner thoughts. And it just kind of makes a mess with like really shitty dialogue. I mean, I was expecting like the hawk at one point to turn to him and say something, or it to be, the wolf to speak as well. And we get like a really cool scene, like every now and again, they're peppered in. And there's a scene where Rutger Hauer is being backlit by the sun and like he's holding the bird and he's interrupted by saying aloud exactly what he must do. And I just wish they had allowed some breaks here or maybe had the animals talk. Maybe that would have been better. But either way, it doesn't feel right.
See, I have a question here. So Gene, you are now the human warrior and Sarah has turned into a hawk. Are you going to be comfortable feeding her carrion like dead rodents and the things that hawks eat, or would you want to give her like human food?
So if it were any other person, I would say human food, but Sarah's diet pretty much consists of like again, we've discussed some previous podcasts, like organ meat. So she'd probably be really happy actually with just like fresh kills. But it would be interesting again in the movie if they did some crossover there, right? Where like when she is a human, she still wants to
she
eat
craves it. Yeah,
the things that a hawk eats. Yeah.
Right.
And likewise, he would be hungry like the wolf.
That would make sense. But in this part, and we didn't cover it in the little bucket of information, we're introduced to the bishop's new, like, his trump card. He's going to go out. He's got the new, like, this wolf assassin, Ulysses, who looks to me remarkably like the King Bee. He looks like a little scraggly beard. He looks a lot like that mountain man we know and love, King Bee. But he's built up as this formidable opponent to Navarre. He's going to go out. He's got pelts. He looks like he's going to hunt him down, but it never materializes.
Dude, he kills like every wolf in the kingdom. How do you want this man to prove himself? How was he supposed to know there were two wolves in that particular forest? Like, he thought he caught Navarre, but then Navarre was, he had a wolf accomplice, I guess.
Right, but the bishop told him that the hawk's name was Isabeau. He finds Isabeau and Mouse in the barn. Immediately grab her. You've got what the bishop wants. He's so clueless. He ends up putting his head in his own trap. He's not a good fucking bounty hunter.
Well, again, we're talking about a kingdom with very limited resources. You've seen their clothing, you've seen their weaponry. Maybe he's the best that they could find, but I still commend him for his exceptional hunting skills. He did what he was supposed to do. He didn't know he was going to be dealing with a fucking man wolf. But my complaint about the movie goes far beyond useless bounty hunters. The big issue with Ladyhawke is that the movie takes itself very seriously from a cinematic standpoint, and you don't get to have both. You don't get to call your movie Ladyhawke and then take yourself seriously. And had this been animated or a true comedy like The Princess Bride, it could have been amazing. Like, this could have been a really funny movie. But instead, they dared to embrace this like dramatic cinematography, and that shit blew up in their faces. When Isabeau is having that arrow pulled from her body, I felt like I was tasting bad wine. Like, I was like, there's notes of the macabre, and then there's some like bishop penitence, and then there's like haunting, and there's cross-generational eroticism with Imperius, but now it's the call of the wild. And Big D, you're right. I didn't know what was wrong with the bishop. It was just flashes, and like I felt like I was watching like a mess of the opening scene of Bram Stoker's Dracula. And we get that again when Navarre and Isabeau see each other for like this rare moment as they transform at daybreak. It's supposed to be this way that they figured out to put them both in like this pit. And so they would be forced to like see each other just for a moment. But instead, he's like grasping at snow and screaming to the sky as like the first rays of sun, beam in and his eyes change. And I was just like, stop taking yourself so fucking seriously. You're a movie about a Ladyhawke.
Yeah, I mean, this movie thinks it's like real important. And the best example of this, I think, is when Rutger Hauer, he starts talking about how every generation has a quest. And it's a great fucking speech, right? Like about how important it is and how all different, groups of people have these quests. And you get like those flashes of the rain performance he gives at the end of Blade Runner. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm going to get some goosies here. And Matthew Broderick, he's so earnest and he says, "What's yours?" And then the response is a deadpan, "I must kill a man." And like, I laughed out loud. And if only this was meant to be funny, it would have been perfect, but it just wasn't.
You see, and I don't know why this whole podcast, I've been shitting on this movie. I liked it. I know it's got these problems. It doesn't make sense. But I was enjoying this more than Willow. I was following along. I thought there was some dramatic notes when the priest is telling the origin of the curse. It was shot well. It was beautifully acted. The dialogue was good. So even though, we're tearing it apart, I did not have any problem sitting and watching this. I did not want it to be over.
Hold on. You've had 30 minutes now to come up with one point to defend this movie, and you haven't, except for it's better than Willow. That's like saying, this is like really good beer. It's better than you pissing in my face.
It is.
I don't know. I'm having a conflicted emotional moment right now.
Well,
at least he hasn't brought up Red Dawn, so.
Facts. When Navarre catches up in the morning, Imperius tells him that the curse can be broken if the couple face the bishop together as humans on a day without a night and a night without a day. After the group's perilous encounters with a wolf trapper and a frozen river, Phillipe finally convinces the pair to try to break the curse. Unable to see any divine sign on the day that he and Isabeau are to appear in the flesh together, Navarre reverts to his original plan to kill the bishop. He convinces Imperius to euthanize the hawk should the cathedral bells ring, which would mean he had failed. Okay, so Isabeau has a name. It's Isabeau. Why do they start calling her Ladyhawke? It's just like one day Mouse is like, hey, Ladyhawke. And then Navarre is like, yeah, Ladyhawke. It's so fucking dehumanizing. It's like if they started calling Navarre Lord Wolf, which is like way cooler than Ladyhawke and probably what this movie should have been called. But I thought that there's got to be a reason they came up with the nickname. And then I was like, they're on the run and they don't want to be found. So if he keeps calling her Isabeau, then people would be able to track them down. But then when the wolf hunter, Ulysses, shows up, what does Mouse do? He calls her Isabeau like 12 fucking times, letting this guy know, hey, that's Isabeau.
I don't know. I mean, I like to be called Ladyhawke, I feel like. I mean, Isabeau's a dumb name. I think Ladyhawke is a pretty badass nickname.
I'm sorry, Ash, you'd rather be called Ladyhawke than Isabeau d'Anjou?
I mean, when you say it like that, it sounds nice. But like, I mean, like most people are gonna be like, Isabeau. Like that's how they're gonna pronounce it when they say it. So I think I'd be, like, hey, look at that. That's Ash Ladyhawke.
No, but again,
I think it's sexy.
You're trying to keep it quiet. You're trying to not let people know that, hey, this is the hawk that transforms into Isabeau. Call the hawk Tom. Hey, where's Tom? Just call it Tom.
You're trying to keep it quiet. You probably don't want to use the words both lady and hawk together.
That's what I mean.
Right?
That's my point.
Because she's literally a lady that transforms into a hawk.
That's
so you call her like, what do you call her?
Michael.
Man
Tom.
pig.
Hey, Tom. Where's Tom the hawk?
Tom
Just call him something. Michael. Thomas. Where's Thomas the hawk? You don't call it Ladyhawke.
Anthony the rat, but it's really a hawk. Yeah, no. I don't know. I don't think it's bad. There's worse names for women.
The bars we're setting on this podcast are really amazing. It's better than Willow. There are worse names for women. The other part I have an issue with is Navarre's plan. Okay, so let's examine this. He shows up. Well, Big D referenced it earlier that he needs to use Mouse to break into the city where he used to be captain of the guard, but somehow does not know how to break in. Point. But the entire plan is idiotic in like 100 ways. Okay, if you're going to break into Aquila to kill the bishop, why don't you just go into town and then shoot him with a crossbow at like any time during the day? Why would you wait to attack when he's inside the cathedral, which you then have to break into? But even worse than the tactical problems, Navarre tells Imperius, the monk, if you hear the bells, that means I have failed, so kill Ladyhawke. But if they don't hear the bells, that means he succeeded in killing the bishop, and if the bishop is dead, then the curse lasts forever. So why don't you just let Isabeau kill her own damn self if she wants to? Why are you putting it on the monk?
I don't know. What's this rush? What is the rush? They said, hey, let's wait a day. The priest has this premonition. If you do it at this time, you'll survive. But he is all hell-bent on doing it to the point where they're going to try to trap him in that little wolf trap to force him to wait a day. But he gets there and he goes on to this whole thing, where he's telling the priest, hey, do me a favor and kill my love as a bird. The cruelty could be to damn her as a half-life. How do you know that's what she didn't want? Why don't you give her a chance? And then he comes back when the priest says, no, I can't do it. He says, well, what if this is God's will? What if this is what he intended? That's a fucked up thought, number one, but you're stealing all agency from the love of your life. Why don't you, if it doesn't work, don't kill her. Maybe it worked and the bell still rang. Maybe you got caught. A lot of things could happen to where something good could be going on and the priest kills the bird. Also, let her live the day. Let's say that Navarre gets killed. She turns from hawk into lady and he says, Navarre got killed. You're now human. What do you want to do? She might say, well, let's go kill the bishop because I'm a human. Boom, spell's broken. I'm alive as a human the rest of my life. Maybe Navarre's been a bit of a dick the whole time because he lies about wolves and hawks mating for life. That's not true. Come on. Maybe Navarre's a bad guy.
That is absolutely true. Red-tailed
not true.
hawks
It's a
and
myth.
gray wolves are monogamous.
It's a myth. It's a
It
myth.
is not
I
a myth. It's a scientific fact.
I researched. It's a myth.
Where did you research it? Cite your source, sir.
Google. I found a page that told me it's not true.
Jesus Christ.
I saw the same bullshit you did that said like hawks and a bunch of other animals. It's not true. Listen to me. Look, like wolves, it's proved by the fact that the wolf has a den. He mates with multiple females. So how is he mating for life, Gene? Tell me.
Gray wolves form like alpha pairs. That's what they do.
So they don't run in a pack? There isn't
They
an alpha
run in
male?
a pack, but they
Yeah,
have a
the alpha
pairing.
male, he's handling his business. Yes, they do not mate for life. It's a lie.
Don't put your habits on the wolf, man.
It's a lie. It's a lie.
Well, Philippe infiltrates the cathedral and unlocks its doors. Navarre rides in and duels with Marquette. He sees a solar eclipse through a high window and realizes the curse really can be broken if you just wait like a fucking couple hours. Navarre tries to get back to Imperius, but he fails to keep the guards from ringing the bell. Believing that Imperius has killed Isabeau, Navarre kills Marquette. As Navarre is about to kill the bishop, Isabeau enters the cathedral and stops him. And together they face the bishop and break the curse.
So I just can't take it seriously, you guys. Like this ending. You have that stupid helmet that he's wearing. It's got like 6 slats on it. Nobody could fucking see out of something that looked like that. It's like those 80s glasses that people wore. Like nobody wore those and walked normal. And then you have the priest in that dumb getup with this inordinately tall cane. And then you have the cuts with these like dramatic words. So like if you've not seen it, they're going from the fight in the church to the guy standing there with the hawk. And when they go to the guy with the hawk, he's like, Lord, go be with him. And then they cut back and then they cut. And it's like, let's all stop fighting and not kill one another to look at how close the eclipse is, which strangely is tiny and framed right within that circle. And then it's just so much drama, but it's so dumb. And I found myself just going, is this fucking movie over yet?
And that's the thing is like shit doesn't have to necessarily make sense for us to at least root for somebody. Like you said, Ash, to care. But Navarre, he's totally unlikable. Like he's abusive to his allies. He's like threatening Mouse and then suddenly he's like embracing him. Oh, I'll teach you how to trap a wolf. He'll like flip to being cordial and then flip to being aggressive again. He encourages the euthanization of his wife and he'd rather kill a guy, the bishop, than try breaking a curse to live happy. As you said, Big D, just wait a fucking day. And Isabeau's not as bad as Navarre, but think about it. What do we actually like about her? I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer, she's gorgeous, but she doesn't really have much of a personality. And looks, is that all we've got here? Like, we don't sympathize with her, I don't think. Has she suffered a hardship in life? Is she particularly kind to people? We don't see any of that. Oh,
she's got those eyes. Back in that time, if you had all your teeth and you looked good, that was about as much as you could hope for. She was a catch, but a bigger issue is here, the whole tactics, Gene. Like we always talk strategy. He was the captain of the guard. It's obvious that he's got loyal soldiers who were still there. The one that gets killed at the tavern and then the one who lets him go. Why not have some kind of coup? Why not sneak in like you said you knew how to do it? But instead we get scenes of prancing horses all over the place. His horse is prancing. I'm going to go to the tavern, prancing horses. We're going to go kick the door in to where the bishop is doing this in like the cathedral. Prancing horse comes in. Where's the bishop's guards? This can't be the first person to try to kill him. There's no guards. There's no response. There's nothing. This fight goes on for like 20 minutes, it feels like. And there's nobody coming to his aid. Maybe everybody wanted the bishop to die.
I think it was probably an homage to the Lord of the Rings. But anyway, he's, what I don't know is once Navarre does get in, he charges down the cathedral. He's got the bishop in his sights. He is the closest person to the bishop. He sees Marquette. He fucking turns around and goes after Marquette. I'm like, wait, do you or do you not want to kill this man? And I can forgive, again, like you said, Big D, like the guard outside, right? The red cloaks, let's say. Yeah, maybe they've got some loyalty to Navarre. They don't want to stop him. Maybe, the bishop's kind of a dick. Maybe nobody likes him, but there's nobody other than Marquette that's loyal to this man. Seems a little far-fetched.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now's the time of the podcast where we give our wipe score for Ladyhawke. Our wipe score tells you how many wipes this movie takes to get off your butt. 0 wipes is a perfect score. It's apparently Michelle Pfeiffer's eyes and teeth. Five Wipes is an absolute disaster of a movie. It is having to escape through the oddly clean waters of the dungeons of Aquila.
Mm-hmm.
Ash, we'll start with you. What is your wipe score for Ladyhawke?
So this movie's dumb. It's silly. It's just, it takes itself so damn seriously. It's just, I don't know. It could be fun dumb, right? Like there are dumb movies that are fun. This is not fun dumb. It wastes some great actors. It's long. The score is like bonkers the entire time. And for me, it's one of our bad ones, guys. It's 4.5 wipes.
I mean, that 4.5 is a little harsh. It's more like 4.
It's harsh.
I really wanted to love this movie for taking a total.
I just want to point out, I'm 4.5. Like, that's a little harsh, 4.5. I'm going to go with 4. Like, I mean, like, it's not much of a
joke.
difference.
But
not much of a difference.
I really wanted to love this movie for taking a what the fuck storyline and creating something unique, but it failed in all the ways a movie like this could possibly succeed, right? Any one of these things. I mean, Jose mentioned kind of the hallmarks of a great movie. Give me any of these. Swordplay, romance, intentional laughs, tragedy. But it wasn't funny. Despite having Matthew Broderick. It wasn't sexy, despite having Michelle Pfeiffer. It wasn't thrilling, despite having Rutger Hauer. And it wasn't clever, despite having Alfred Molina. They took an excellent cast, and Alan Parsons, one of the greatest prog rock composers of all time, American legend, singer-songwriter, and it absolutely took a shit on itself. This is a 4-wipe movie.
Wow, this is one of those cases that me watching the movie and doing the podcast is a completely different experience. I wrote you guys and said, I don't know what you're talking about. This movie's kind of good. I think it's 1.5, maybe like 1.75. And you two looked at me like I was crazy. I had a fun time watching this movie, but talking with you has ruined it. Gene, you laid out some good points of why it's not a good movie, but I'm torn. I enjoyed it. I had fun watching. Yes, all those problems, I just kind of glossed over it. It's long, and that's my major problem. They don't develop the curse. We don't get to see the curse rules, and for me, that's a problem, Ash. But I can't deny everything you've said. I was originally going to come in here and give this a 2, but you guys have talked me back to a 2.75. Yes, it's dumb, but then again, what movies aren't at this time? I think 2.75. I'm comfortable with that. It's worse than average.
All right. With 4.5 wipes from Ash, 4 wipes from me, and 2.75 wipes from Big D Dick Ebert, that gives us an average wipe score of 3.75 wipes for Ladyhawke.
So, Gene, with a score of 3.75 wipes, that now ties this movie in the 226 spot with 2 movies that we've mentioned. Robin Hood Men in Tights, Labyrinth, it's better than The Last Starfighter and GoldenEye, slightly worse than it in Trading Places. And I think it's with 2 movies that it really does match up very well with.
Yeah, I think it's about in the right spot.
Yeah. I still enjoyed it. I can't explain it. There's no scientific rhyme or reason.
I mean, it's hard to fucking go wrong with crossbows, hawks, wolves, and swords. Like that alone. I mean, you could do that in the backyard and I'd watch it.
But not if you did this in your backyard.
Oh, I'd pay for Gene to do this in his backyard.
Like if you put on like your leather for your moose smoot and you were like, back there and they had Big D going.
Yep. Gene's in the backyard. He's got his leathers.
Yeah.
You're like, man, I want some of my mother's hot lamb.
Oh, yeah. Who's got the potion? I've got an amulet.
Am I awake or am I asleep? Maybe I'm awake and asleep at the same time.
Sarah's got like a stuffed hawk on like a rope and she's swinging it around. Yeah, this would be great.
I'm going to stab you with my tiny sword.
Oh, tiny.
Follow us on Shat the Movies TikTok. Get that. Big D, what do we have coming up next week?
Gene, thankfully next week, we've got a new movie. And prep high school reporter Jerry Mitchell is asked to write a story on a tough new kid, Buddy Revell, a boy rumored to have a violent past. Jerry tries to call off the story, but in the process, he infuriates Buddy, who challenges him to a parking lot brawl immediately after school the same day. As Jerry desperately attempts to escape the impending fight, he instead ends up finding the courage to stand up to Buddy. Fucking spoiler alert there in the write-up. This was commissioned by Jen R. for her husband's birthday. Surprise! And it was released in August of 1987. Buddy Revell he is one of the legendary bullies and villains in 80 movies. This should be a good one.
Excited.
Well, thank you, Jen, for the upcoming movie. Thank you, Jose, for giving us the joys of Ladyhawke. That concludes this week's episode of Shat the Movies. Be sure to follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat the Movies. You can email us, host@shatthemovies.com. Support the podcast by shopping our Amazon affiliate link, buying our merch, or commissioning your own movie. Find all that information by visiting our website, shatpod.com. Also, you can check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV. We review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Find all that information on our website, shatpod.com/TV. Wherever fine podcasts can be found, including iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. And if you stop by iTunes, please leave a 5-star review. That helps the podcast grow. On behalf of my co-hosts, Ash and Big D, I'm Gene Lyons. Be sure to join us next week for the following movie.
I guess I should have known from the beginning. It was going to be one of those days.
His name is
Jerry Mitchell.
Hi, Jerry.
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 Hi, I'm Jerry Mitchell. I'm with the school paper.
He just met the new kid in school.
The guy's the closest thing to Charlie Manson ever seen at Weaver.
Now,
We're gonna have a fight today after school.
he's got 6 hours to get out of it.
It's been quite a morning, Jerry.
You can say that again.
He'll try running.
I wouldn't leave school without a good reason.
He'll try bribery.
If I can get the money, do you think you'd do it for me?
Ravel will never bother you again. Guaranteed.
He'll try robbery.
I hear you're giving Jerry Mitchell a hard time.
Till finally,
The fight is on. You and me in the parking lot, 3 o'clock.
Jerry's got a lot on his mind.
10 seconds.
But he's not thinking about math or English.
5 seconds.
Because at 3 o'clock, he's gonna make history.
There isn't going to be any fight today.
Yeah, let's do it. Gene's internet, it sucks. It drops off every time we start to record. He can't do anything. His room sucks major ass. Why doesn't he have cable? Maybe dial up or DSL. Fiber doesn't work.
Or fiber
Gene fucking sucks. Why didn't he get that new thing from Verizon?
5G isn't that good.
In this game, Gene will be hunting for adequate internet. And while he's there, he'll try to rescue the Princess Zelda.
Gene. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
He's on the hunt.
We're at the we're at the tavern and we're fighting. Oh yeah. You're not going to get Matthew Broderick. I'm going to climb on top of the lattice work. Oh, I'm going to hide behind these vines. You won't get me with your sword.
I just threw my ale. Here came my fork with some potatoes on it.
Poke your sword at me.
Mm-hmm.
Your disguise didn't fool me.
Nice.
Here comes Navarre with his tiny little sword. Ooh, he's the captain of the guard.
Why are they so short?
That little sword is kind of sad.
You know what, though? I'm really bummed we never used our recording from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
The Gene abduction where Gene was killed?
No. Oh my God, we didn't use that too. But we also recorded the whole song of Everything I Do It For You.
Oh, I don't remember what happened. Yeah.
We were so drunk.
Oh, that was a very, very special recording.
You.
So now the tavern fight, the Navarre, that's dramatic. And now this is the Phillipe version.
Got it.
Oh no! Those guards found me. Oh yeah, I'm gonna run around.
I thought I was safe.
Oh, I escaped from the dungeon.
But I'm here.
I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die. Or find a lady that turns into a hawk.
I'm gonna jump on the table.
I'm gonna talk about what lamb. Hot lamb from the mouth.
Oh, from my mother's womb. Oh yeah.
Lammy woomy lamb.
Oh yeah. I didn't play it again. This thing's going crazy.
I think Lammy Woomy Lamb is pretty awesome.
Oh, Woomy Lammy, yeah.